Hi, and welcome back to Questions from Quarantine. We're coming at you live from Juliette's teenage son's bedroom, which she'll explain in a minute. We'd like to talk about the end of summer. Labor Day has come and gone. Football is starting tomorrow. Juliette, talk to us about the end of summer. What's going on?
Hi, everyone. Yeah. So we're on day 2 after Labor Day, and the systems have collapsed in my house. I made the total error of upgrading when I didn't actually need an upgrade. Comcast sent me a new box, and I was like, "Oh, we're going to be even faster." Everything has gone wrong since then. So just to explain where I am, my husband is a First Circuit federal judge. They have serious oral arguments. Just once a month. He has to do them from home. It's unique for the judiciary. Every institution has changed. Harvard has changed. We're teaching online. Everything has changed, even the judiciary. So there are very few things that really matter that he has good connectivity except for this. And he's actually in a black robe from home, like sitting as a judge from home. So he needs good. So he's in our bedroom where we used to have good connectivity because he likes working in his leather chair there. He comes running down 10 minutes ago. The connectivity was bad. I have the best connectivity in my office because CNN set up a studio there, so I'm hardwired. Anyway, long story short, the only room where I could get good connectivity is my 14-year-old son's bedroom. This is a poster from J. Cole. I had to look it up. I did not know who he was. He's a rapper. There's his bed, slightly made. This is his idea of making the bed. See, that's it. Throw the thing. And I have connectivity. That is a long way of an answer to your question, which is I don't know how the fall is going to go because this is just day 2. But obviously, schools are experimenting. And I do want to tell people, for every horrible piece of news that you hear, there are some schools managing this. There are colleges that are staying in session, and those are ones that are taking the mitigation really, really seriously, the testing really, really seriously. For high schools, most of the major cities are now remote, although there's 2 days a week, 3 days a week. Fall sports are different; they're not all the same. Football is generally suspended, although soccer is continuing. One of my sons will be playing soccer this fall, which is great, just to get him outside. My most recent piece for The Atlantic was, though, I'm normally hopeful, less than hopeful, or at least hopeful, but set your time frame. As I've said again and again, I plan, and I am now planning not for the first part of 2021, that I don't see how we get through this winter now. Things will be worse. We will go inside. We had optimal capacity to deal with this virus over the course of the summer, and we didn't as a nation. We will go inside. There'll be a flu season. We don't know what's going to happen with other potential waves of COVID. We will figure this out, but we need to begin to extend the runway until further notice. We're now in the period where this was totally avoidable. Whatever you think about January, February, March of 2020, and maybe, we couldn't have closed down, and maybe, we weren't seeing the signs well enough. The winter of 2020 is owned by Donald Trump, by our failure to react over the course of the last 6 months.
Margaret, how are you feeling about the fall?
Well, it's interesting, I have really had to recalibrate sort of some of the risk, my sense of what a risky behavior is versus what it was at the beginning of spring. It's because, the socially distancing sort of ideas, their downsides, the harms that you have from sustaining them grow over time, right? So like you can stay inside for 2 weeks, but can you stay inside for 2 years? No. And, this is particularly true when you look at children, right? It's like, okay, them missing a month of school, even 3 months of school. Okay, that's one type of sort of insult, if you will, to their development. But missing years of school, that's your risk sort of balancing starts to shift. So what I notice and what I'm sort of recommending is trying to really rally behind those activities that we sort of, in an ideal world, if my only goal was to control COVID, I wouldn't recommend, but like now that we're seeing the downsides of not doing these over a very long period of time, I'm much more willing to think about them. So that absolutely includes children's sports. I'm like, hello, soccer, hello, anything outdoors. anything in well-ventilated buildings. I mean, all my 4 girls play hockey. 2 of them play soccer. Hockey has been a sort of big conversation about how to play that sport, but most of the rinks are extremely well ventilated. And the kids are not coming face to face for very long periods of time. So I'm willing. I think that is. Just me personally, that there's a risk I'm willing to take, and I'm willing to recommend them in a clinical sense because I think it's so low. So I guess I'm feeling like the fall, we can sort of manage. I think, my rage has not dissipated at all. I think that what we are, the other little thing I just note is that I really am conflicted over colleges opening, not because I think it can't be done safely. I think it can be done safely or safe-ish. But what's interesting to me is that if there is an outbreak that spreads to the surrounding community, that college has now impacted everybody else. That means that we might have to close down our high school and our pre-K. And so they are making that choice sort of for everyone else. Instead of trying to stop every bad thing from happening, really just trying to understand and learn from this experience so we can have a better approach to the myriad health security threats that are coming down the pipeline in the future. So I'm just kind of noting that I'm conflicted over that. I don't like the process by which it has been prioritized and certain groups have gotten to go first.
In my world, we now call it smart social distancing, right? Because social distancing now has us in quarantine again, which scares people, but it is a way of thinking about engagement that's different in kind than what we remember in March when we were trying to flatten the curve. So calculations that I would not thought I would have made when I thought that the window was March and April, I now have to make because the downsides are cumulative. So they have to do with kids. For me, they have to do with, I have not seen my parents since December. So the calculation of getting on a plane, which if you asked me 3 months ago, no way, now has changed, right? I'm not there yet. And I know, I'm like you, Margaret, I read all this stuff. It's totally safe. There's just, so sometimes our risk calculation is irrational. It's just, that's the thing I don't want to do. Right.
I also have not seen my parents since December. I love you, Mom and Dad. They're going to.
Me too. I love your parents' tar too, but I love mine too.
So we feel your pain. We're here. Questions from Quarantine will be happening weekly from here on out. Feel free to hashtag questions from Quarantine for your chance to be answered next week. Thank you.
You'll see my other son's bedroom next.